Hey, everybody.
Hi.
Welcome back.
Welcome.
Welcome back to Home on the RNG. I'm Jeff.
I am Russ. Where is our home on the RNG?
Wherever we hang our hat.
Oh, okay. It's in our hearts.
Yes.
Like Kingdom Hearts.
The true home is the RNGs we met along the way.
Okay.
And of course, we're joined by Chris Taylor.
Oh, hi.
Our musical expert who, also plays some of the games. So,
Yeah, the jury's out.
And today we're here to talk about, spoiler, a great game. We're here to talk about Suikoden II.
Yeah. Would recommend. I like saying at the beginning that I would recommend the game.
Thank you for joining us. That was a great episode. Next time.
Wonderful. No, it's Suikoden II. Yeah, it's very good.
So let's go ahead and dive into personal history. I don't have a lot of personal history with Suikoden. I mentioned this during the first review. Years ago, Lauren the Flute, who was on several episodes of the beginning of this podcast, had mentioned them. I got the first two games. I played them. I really enjoyed them. And then I replayed it for this. That's pretty much my history with this game. Russ, do you have...
Yeah, no, I don't have history with this either. I didn't play any Suikoden game at all until like the PS3. They were on the virtual console or whatever they called it on the PS1 Classics on the PS3, and I had never played them before. So this totally skipped my radar back in the day.
How about you, Chris?
Yeah, actually, I think I talked about the original Suikoden, but yeah, I saw it in a magazine, and I thought it was really cool. And when I worked very briefly in a video game store, mostly just collecting old games, like in lieu of a paycheck, essentially, because I just put it right back into buying stuff. I got to take advantage of that 2002 collector-centric boom that was you could buy just all the games for very cheap that ever existed. And so I picked up Suikoden 1 and 2 just in the same go, because I was like, well, I know what these are, so I'm going to pick them up. And I think they were like probably less than $30 each. And then I sat on them for like 4 years. And then I was like, I want to play something different. And so I played, because I was just out of my mind with boredom. So I had a lot of free time at the time. And so I popped in Suikoden 1. And I liked it so much that I beat it like just as soon as I could. Like I just, blazed through it. And then I immediately, as soon as the credits were done rolling, I put in Suikoden 2 and then blazed through that. And then when the credits stopped rolling on that one, I put Suikoden 1 back in and played a second time. And then when that was done, I started another game of Suikoden 2.
Well, of course. You didn't want to be lopsided.
Yeah. I don't think I finished that game of Suikoden 2. The reason why I restarted is because I wanted to get all 108 stars, because I missed a couple in the first playthrough. I think on my second Suikoden 2 playthrough, I was like, I just kind of like moved on as suddenly as I came. So I have played it all the way through. However, since then, I've been working on Suikoden 3. That is to say, I started a game of Suikoden 3 and then abandoned it and never went back to the series until the DS game came out.
Wow.
That's probably a good choice.
So, Suikoden 2 was developed and published by Konami for the PlayStation 1 in 1999.
Before they were a pachinko machine company.
Yes, way back in the days when they made video games.
Only just before.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and move on to story and characters.
Oh, this is going to be the rest of the podcast. I'm not, why am I even here?
We are going to listen to Jeff recite the names of all 108 Stars of Destiny in alphabetical order.
And the like 10 or so recruitable characters that aren't Stars of Destiny.
Yeah. And, of course, a personality synopsis of each one.
Right. Yeah.
Because they're all so fleshed out.
And don't forget the two octopuses.
Yes. Although, can you get both?
You can. It locks you out of getting the best ending because neither of them are 108 Stars of Destiny, and if you get the second one, it locks you out of getting the Griffin, which locks you out of getting the girl who comes with the Griffin, and the girl is one of the 108 stars. Therefore, I was going to save this for later, but I love that you can just ruin your game through octopus greed.
So normally we start the story with me popping a piece of paper and reading my little plot summary, but I don't have a piece of paper today.
I'm going to pop my phone where my notes live now.
There we go. That'll have to work for the next couple reviews. When 2 child soldiers survive a false flag massacre of their entire squad of child soldiers, they realize they're working for an evil empire bent on world domination.
It was their first clue.
They hook up with some heroes from the first game and have to raise a new army of freedom to save the world from the evil prince Luca Blight. The name should have given people a hint.
Yeah.
I mean, otherwise a nice guy.
Yeah, sure. Loves his family.
His sister seems fond of him.
Yes, she's a real sweetheart. I mean, yeah, the Suikoden series does really good setups and really does a really good job of making you feel like you're building an army towards a purpose when you're recruiting all of these 108 characters, especially since several of them come with, retainers and a little army of generic people that you never get to know. So,
probably a good idea because, I mean, one battle you can lose like 9,000 soldiers and still win. So it's kind of nice if you don't have all their backstories.
No, Tim!
Not Tim.
Tim, generic.
Tim 2.
Number 2. This is actually the rare case of a true JRPG sequel. The game takes place in the same world just about 10 years after the last game. It's a slightly different part of the world, but you can travel to and see your heroes from the first game. If you have a saved game where you recruited all 108 special characters in the first game, you can actually recruit your heroes from that game into this game, unless you're playing this on the PS Vita, where that doesn't work.
Gotcha.
I say because I played it on my PS Vita and it doesn't work.
No double protagonist for you.
No.
So sad.
The game itself takes around 33 hours to beat, but that's a pretty loose number because there's a lot of hidden content in this that you could spend hours grinding for or
33
searching
is
for.
really specific.
So I look at how long to beat, and they have categories of beating the game, which is just like complete the game with extras, or 100% the game. And I try to do an average between completing the game with extras. I try to find what I think is the average that most people will experience between those three numbers. Usually not 100%ing a game, because a game like this, 100%ing it would take a long time.
Yeah.
So, Russ, who are your favorite characters? Is it the octopuses?
Janet. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, I do like the octopuses, little chipmunk people.
The chipmunk people are fun. You can recruit a little army of chipmunk people.
Yes.
I think there's like 7 of them.
Yeah, there's at least 5. There might be more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They are not stars, but I think one of them is. Man, I don't know. There's a lot of characters.
There's
in
a
this
lot
game.
of characters. I mean, they're the 108 Stars of Destiny plus.
And you can recruit ones that aren't the Stars of Destiny. You can recruit a unicorn, a couple octopuses.
I mean, and you got freed. Why? No, I mean, that's a question.
I liked the dog. I can't remember the dog's name. Like Shino?
Yeah.
Yeah, Shino. Yeah, the big dog.
He was a part of my party throughout the entire game. I gave him the double beat rune.
Oh, Shiro.
And he would just...
I got a list. It's Shiro. Apologies.
He was just a very strong physical attacker who often, when he finished an opponent, would just take another turn. And since his turns involved 2 attacks, sometimes he'd attack 4 times in a round.
He's a dog. Who's going to stop him?
No, I wasn't going to.
No, exactly.
The enemies kept trying. They kept
Nobody
saying,
hurt
please,
the dog.
no, stop. Necklord comes back again.
Oh, boy.
Necklord was so weird in the first game. It felt like this side quest out of nowhere.
It really undercut the real human drama of, like, real wars with losses and claiming territories and strategies, and this very down to earth, epic. To just throw in a vampire.
Yeah.
We're just throwing it into Dracula. There's a Dracula here.
So we bring him back a second time for another Dracula story.
Only this time there's more Draculas, so it's okay.
Yeah, and this time you get to live in Castlevania afterwards.
I absolutely was not expecting that.
He actually services the plot a little bit in this game, because after you defeat him, you get his castle as your headquarters.
Did you ever get the impression, like, before defeating him and taking over his castle and just nothing ever happens again, that he was, like, maybe going to join you in some capacity?
I did not get that, but I always felt like he was somebody's favorite subplot, and they were really trying to, like, petition for him to have his own game.
For sure.
Or something. Like, he was a backdoor pilot in a video game.
I just like that his name is Neck Lord. It works on so many levels. A vampire named Neck Lord.
With his army of zombies.
Yeah.
And you kill him using a sentient, sassy sword. So sassy.
Oh, yeah. That's a sassy sword.
I feel like for a game with 108 characters, we don't have a lot to talk about the characters.
Oh, I just didn't know if it was coming around to me or not.
Chris, hit us. Who's your favorite characters?
I love that this is the first podcast of the day that we're recording.
Yeah,
Pulling back the curtain a little bit.
We're finding our feet here.
This is the earliest morning caffeine hasn't kicked in podcast so far of the day. I love the women in this game. I mean, I always love female protagonists and party members, but God, there's so many to pick from. Of course, I love Nanami. She's great.
Sure.
Yeah, essential.
I like that in this one with Nanami, not to spoil too much, but I actually wanted to recruit all 100 Stars of Destiny in this one, because in the first game,
the prize was bringing Grimmio
back, and Grimmio got on my nerves from minute one. He drags the party down. You can't.
He is your nursemaid.
Pull him out of your party. He is, and I'm like, why would I even want to bring him back to life? But in this game, Nanami is a good.
She's the bait.
Yeah, she is.
The completionist bait.
I was going to say she's a good prize, but I don't want to sound misogynistic.
I like the relationship between the main character and Joey.
Yeah, it's very...
I always just said Joey.
Joey?
I say Joey, too. You can call him Jowly if you like.
So, I mean, some spoilers, I guess. But because they basically set them up as brothers, best friends, bonded through whatever adversity
Trauma.
may come. The two of them are given special powers to save the world, and then they both have very different ideas of what saving the world looks like and what it means, and eventually find themselves on opposite sides. Neither fully understanding the other's motivations. At least us never understanding Joey's motivations, how he feels about ours. Mm-hmm. He feels like we're not going far enough. We're not doing enough. We don't fully understand.
So this was the template for Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
And Joey doesn't want to take the time to fully explain his point of view.
He doesn't want to take any time whatsoever. At the end of the game, I'm just like, wow.
If we just sat down and had a chat.
At least if we got, some...
We could have avoided all of this.
Could have gotten some useful dialogue. At least if the player was let in a little bit, I feel.
But the shtick of your main character's best friend turns out to be an enemy. And in this case, enemy's going to be in quotations because his motives are whatever. That we've seen plenty of times. Like Final Fantasy II starts with that, right?
Yeah.
Where you lose a party member after the first battle and he turns out to be one of the big bads. Mm-hmm. But I feel like, and I'm sure there are exceptions, but this is one of the few cases where you spend a lot of time with him in your party, fighting with him, getting to know him, building him, before he migrates away to the other side. Mm-hmm. Which, I don't know, it gives it a lot more depth. Because now you know that not all of the people you're fighting against are just pure evil. You know this guy. You spent time with him. You don't know what's going on in his head or what he's planning. But you know that the bad guys in this are more nuanced. Mm-hmm. You just don't know why. So I do like how that's handled.
Yeah.
Are there any other call-out characters you'd like, Chris?
Well, I mean, without going into the ones that are in the first game, because, the ninja lady is back and I love her. Sierra, our female Dracula that joins us.
Yes.
I love her. Of course, he's returning too. It's a lot of it's like, I love that this person comes back. But, yeah.
Chris is desperately scrolling through
Victor,
108 names.
I love Victor. I wish Victor had just continued through the whole series.
I made a list once when I had a blog of the manliest mans in video games.
Yeah.
And Victor made the list for sure.
Oh, yeah.
He's absolutely, for better or worse, he's a man's man. And I do love him. I like him and Flick's little, like, spatty relationship is back. We needed more of that.
Sniping at each other.
Yeah. We got our, and another returning character, Stallion. I love Stallion.
The fastest elf.
But Stallion gets me into another facet of the game that I'm sure we'll discuss, so I'll save it. But yeah, I do like that Stallion's back. And Kasumi, that's the ninja girl. I had to look up her name, but I love her.
Yep, you can get yourself a little contingent of ninjas.
Yes.
Ningers.
Oh, and Millie with her little hedgehog.
With her hedgehog that eats people whole.
Yes, I love her.
And Vicky with her teleporting powers and ditzy personality.
I love Vicky. I love her so much.
Honestly, the characters are all fun, I think is the point we're getting at. They are all pretty fun. You get an army of kobolds, you get an army of winged guys.
Yeah.
A couple octopuses.
Mm-hmm.
You get another ancient wizard that you have to find in a cave.
Some of the characters, like the unicorn and I guess the octopuses, are double-sized. Take up 2 party slots in your battle group.
It's very frustrating, but also kind of cool. Siegfried, by the way, is the unicorn.
Yes, I used him a bit.
I liked him, but yeah, I couldn't take up... I couldn't have that many characters with... Yeah, I was like, there's 108 characters here. We need room for at least 5 of them.
Do we want to move into the combat system?
Sure.
Sure.
Of course.
I love the high energy in this review.
Yeah, it's early.
It's noon.
That's pretty early on a Saturday.
On a Saturday.
Noon.
On a Saturday.
The combat system is pretty much the same as the first one, which honestly is fine by me because I think it's a great combat system. It's fun to play. Mm-hmm. It's fun to watch. You get 6 characters, which is a lot, but they often take their turns simultaneously unless they're attacking the same character. The camera zooms in for critical attacks. The combat is just fun to watch. You assign all these actions and then just watch the chaos play out.
Yeah.
Rapid fire action. I really like
so
it.
Snappy for PS1 when we had like Final Fantasy doing summons that took 2.5 minutes.
This game is a contemporary of Final Fantasy VIII. And that was, I feel, the worst one in terms of how much they're going to prolong a fight that could have been over in a minute.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah. Oh, definitely. I never knew, not to talk about Final Fantasy VIII, but I didn't know about the boost thing when you summon for like my first playthrough of that. So I'm like, oh, good. We get to watch Shiva burst out of that ice crystal again.
I swear we'll get right back to Suikoden II. It really had it in a very hidden way, in a very subtle way. It really incentivized learning how to junction to your regular attacks properly, so that you could win every fight without casting a single summon.
Yeah, I didn't know how to play that game at all until playthrough number 2.
Yeah, I understand.
But this Suikoden 2 does not have that problem because it's just a very fun, fast, snappy.
I'm having a hard time. I was going to qualify it and be like, of the PS1 and earlier era, but I'm having a hard time thinking of an exception. This is one of my favorite combat systems. Just the way it's set up, the way it looks, the way it's presented, the way it plays. It's great.
Even the camera comes in real fast.
Yeah, the camera
Yeah.
zooming in for criticals and zooming out gives you a feeling of action and excitement. The Suikoden-specific weird status effects are all back. Although I will say, in my 30-ish hours of gameplay in this playthrough, I rarely got any status effects, and I never got ballooned or bucket-headed once in this entire playthrough.
Oh, lucky.
I know, I got
Well-
bucket-headed, but I always kind of enjoy it when it happens, just because it's the bucket.
It's so cute.
Often your characters will get a second attack just for funsies, just as a bonus. Yeah, go ahead, attack again. Why not? I couldn't find what the mechanic was behind that. It just happened. There are still 3 styles of combat. The first is your typical JRPG combat. That's what we've been talking about. The second one are duels, like the first game, where it's a one-on-one duel, usually with like a captain or a commander of an army. They say a line of dialogue, and you're doing rock, paper, scissors to pick between defend, attack, or attack wildly. And you try to use their dialogue to cue you as to what the right call is to make.
I am pro duels. I like the duels.
And they are pretty much unchanged from the first game. In fact, they
Yeah.
are unchanged
Yeah.
from the first game. They completely revamped the army battles, though. And instead of it being the menu-based, also kind of rock, paper, scissors-ish, it's been turned into an extremely watered-down Fire Emblem-style battle. Units don't have health bars. As they take damage, they earn sword icons, and the second sword icon kills a unit. Honestly, I hate this system.
Me too. I was going to say, thumbs up duels, thumbs down
It's
war battles.
It's very slow.
Yeah.
Your characters can only move 1 to 2 spaces per turn. Often, your attacks or the enemy's attacks don't do any damage at all, which makes it take even longer. It seems completely random as to when you're going to devastate an enemy or they'll devastate you. The enemy AI isn't particularly engaging, and often the combats are so heavily story-based and plotted that they'll end after a couple of turns even if you don't do anything at all. I appreciate when games try something new, but none of this worked.
It didn't work.
At all.
No, absolutely not.
Every time one of these combats came up, it was just the biggest drag. And I was like, please be one of these things where it's like after 2 turns it just ends.
And it's one of those things where you can permanently lose a character, so...
Oh yeah, random
Yeah.
chance will let you lose. I did. I
So
lost one of
yeah.
my 108 stars, and I didn't notice it.
Oh, yeah,
So I
that's
was 1 star short at the end.
nice. Who was it?
Well, I would have just screamed and had my head explode.
Was it Freed Y? Because if so, that's fine.
No, it wasn't. It was. I can't even remember which one it was, and I didn't notice it.
I think
until,
he was
like,
essential anyway, so I don't even think you can lose
It
him.
was one
I'm
of
not
the
sure.
ones that can be a unit commander, and I didn't notice it until much later in the game when I was like a commander short. I was like, "Hey, what happened?" Oh no!
Yeah.
Because if you have a unit die, there is a chance that one of the stars in that unit dies permanently. But it's not a guarantee. But they'll shoot out a line of dialogue that's supposed to trigger you. But it's not something like, and now I'm lost from this game forever. It's just like, oh no. And you're like, well, yeah, you lost a battle. Of course you said, oh no.
Oh, no.
Yeah, the new army battles are terrible.
Yeah,
and I hate
not a
them.
good system.
I don't know. I've never played Suikoden 3. I don't know if it's a trend that carries on.
I guess we'll find out, won't we?
Yeah. Eventually
That we
we will
shall.
find out.
Eventually we'll get to the ship battle.
But 2 out of 3 of these battle styles.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Very good.
If I pretend that I like the army combats, then I do like the variety of combat, right? The different styles of combat to give the story some flavor, some texture, to break it up, to prevent it from just being a JRPG where it's just constantly these same battles one at a time, or coming up with an excuse for your character's going to fight the enemy commander, but for some reason none of your party can be there. All right, do your turn-based
Yeah.
combat. No, in the duel sense, it makes sense for it to be one-on-one. But yeah, those army battles suck.
Yeah, they are pretty bad.
I was just reminded of a thing in Chrono Cross where you go back in time, flashback to a very spoilery moment in the game, and if you have the right item, you can take two of your teammates with you to fight the enemies that are in there. But by the end of that sequence, whether you brought extra people or not, you are supposed to be alone. And so it's as you progress through this thing, like the person that brought you there was like, oh no, I can't control it any further. Yeah. And then like one of your characters disappears and like, oh, I'm losing my grip on this one. And then like the other character disappears. And then you're conveniently alone for the part of the story where you have to be alone. And I just thought about that whenever you were like talking about, oh yeah, I have to fight this fight with just my one character.
I also like when they push Poshel off the cliff at the beginning of the game if you have her with you. Yeah,
Poshel is such a tone changer depending on how early you get her in the game.
She's magnificent. I swear we're talking about Suikoden 2.
No, we're here to talk about Final Fantasy VIII, Chrono Cross, and Suikoden 2. Did either of you have anything else to add to the combat section? There's a ton of innovations. Like, I know it feels like we're shooting through these sections a little quickly, but innovations might take a while.
Yeah, let's go ahead.
No, yeah, I just like it.
Yeah.
I like how quick everything is.
Yeah, I guess I was just gonna say the dual moves too also is very nice. Yeah, you had the really good one with Nanami that takes forever to execute.
Yeah.
Although it's fun every time. And then the one with Joey that clears out the whole screen that really gives you like the player like a real reason to be distraught when he leaves. You're like, no, my AoE move, it's
not
gone.
Like Gremio, and you're just excited.
Yeah, the dual text basically. In the first game, you can find your instructor, and then you get an attack that hits every enemy on the board, and it's super powerful, and you just carry it through the whole game. And then in this game, you start out with your buddy who has that move. Absolutely, it's great. And then he's gone, and you're like, now I have Nanami, who sometimes takes a picnic or a nap during our dual move. I do like that, though. He has a dual move with his sister, and it has a couple of different possible animations when you execute it. It is snapshots of them attacking together, so it's like click, and it's a picture of them striking, click, and it's a picture of them getting ready to strike. And it's really rapid fire, these still images, but sometimes you get an alternate one where the hero is attacking relentlessly and Nanami's having a picnic, taking a nap, the hero notices, gets her attention, she joins in the fight. I think it's very charming.
It's very cute.
Endless charm.
Very good.
Anyway, that's all I wanted to bring up.
No, thank you. That was good to bring up. But let's move on to the rest of this review, which is innovations.
Okay, I'm good now.
I'm concerned now. I'm not good now. Again, there are 108 recruitable characters. Not all of... Actually, there's more. There's 108 specific special recruitable characters. Not all of which are combat characters. Some of which enhance your base. And you don't have to recruit all of them by a long shot.
Only one of which is a squirrel, right?
Yes, I believe the first squirrel is a star, and then you can use that squirrel to recruit like 5 others. But it's hard. It's not easy. I actually gave up. I tried to recruit a second one, and the RNG was just not there for me.
You hate to see it.
Yeah. The rune system is back. In the first game, you could equip a rune on a character, and it would give them special abilities either inside or outside of combat, and that's also how you gave them magic abilities, is runes that would give them lists of spells. But in this one, certain characters can have up to 4 runes equipped. Not all characters get that many, but you can get up to 4, 1 on each hand, 1 on their helmet, and 1 embedded in the weapon. The weapon one doesn't let you cast spells, but can have effect on your attacks. Not everybody can use every rune, not every rune can be used in every slot, and not everybody has every rune slot available. Only certain ones can use head runes, for example.
Plus, there's 27 true runes that they're going to spend 7 games trying to explain.
But I liked enhancing the rune system like this because in the first one there was things like Stallion's rune, which lets you move faster on the overworld. Like, cool. I
Bless
like
'em.
being able to move faster on the overworld, but if I equip that on a character, that character can't use any spells in combat.
Yeah.
I hate when I have to make a utility versus combat advantage trade-off like that. And in this game, you have a lot more options for how you want to spec and build your characters.
Yeah, I mean, Final Fantasy VI did it, so I have to forgive it.
Yeah. Yeah, I have kind of the same issue with the relic. Like, oh, I wish they could have 2 relics each. That way I could have a choice between, I want to be able to dash on the overworld, or I want to be able to hit 4 times with my weapon.
It's worse in Final Fantasy V. Where you're like, I'd like to not take floor damage. Oh, now I can't equip 2 swords.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Oh, it is bad. I love Final Fantasy V. Though.
No, I do love Final Fantasy V. I'm just saying it's worse there than it is in 6.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Again, Suikoden II review.
It's about Suikoden 2. Apparently, we have to keep being reminded.
Every now and again, we have a review where we will review everything but the game. It happens. We've talked about animal party members who are double-sized and mix-up mechanics. And I'm looking at my notes here, and it's a whole thing about Shiro the dog and me using double beat. We already talked about all of this.
Yeah.
There are a ton of new runes in this game, and a lot of them are dropped rarely by monsters. So if you look at it like a detailed walkthrough of the game, there are dozens of runes that you will never see unless you are specifically hunting for them. I was looking at a walkthrough, and it's like, in this area, make sure to pick up at least 5 of these runes, because you're going to want those. They're dropped by this enemy, like at a 1% drop rate.
I take issue with that, and also I watched somebody, a friend of mine, stream through this entire game, and it's like, chat rooms are always worse on live streams than anything, and they always buy into like this idea that like you need this stuff that makes things convenient in order to beat the game, and I'm like, y'all, Suikoden 2 is not hard.
No.
You can just beat it. This other stuff is there for your enjoyment if you choose.
And also, there's so much variety and so much choice. There is no, like, to your point, there is no required necessary way to do it. You could build your own, hey, this is how I like to build out my characters. I like this rune and this rune. I don't need this one. I know everybody likes this rune. I don't need it.
Yeah.
Because it is an easier game, you have a lot of freedom as to how you want to pursue it.
Yeah.
The inventory is the same as ever, limited and extremely frustrating. Just manipulating everybody's inventory. Oh my god, it's so irritating. Speaking of frustrating things, the game actually has a very low encounter rate. Now, it's easy to see where a game with a high encounter rate is very frustrating, right? That one's easy to understand. If every 5 steps, it's another battle. Ugh. But in a game like this where monsters have a chance to drop rare items that you may be looking for, that you can't get anywhere else, it is frustrating to spend minutes walking around an area going, are there enemies in this area? Did I break the game?
This music sure is good.
Yeah. I would love an encounter.
Counterpoint to that, the fact that the game catches you up on levels so quickly means that you need less fights and therefore no grinding. So, kind of a trade-off.
Yeah, and that one of the next things I was going to talk about is the XP system. But if you're going to make it so that monsters drop rare items, people are going to want to try and get those rare items. But to your point, yes, the leveling up system is pretty cool. I like it because it's one of those games where it's very easy for characters to catch up. We talked about this in the Trails in the Sky series.
Yeah, they do a good job of it.
Because you have a large cast here to rotate out. So it's nice when you grab a character, and often the story's like, hey, you have to use this character for this next stretch. I've never touched that character. That's fine. In about 3 combats, they're going to be caught up to the rest of your party.
I love it. There's something so rewarding.
Oh yeah,
about watching those levels.
Somebody shoot up like 5 levels in one combat.
Like Ness just got out of Magic Hand.
Yes. Or Final Fantasy IV when Cecil becomes a paladin.
Yeah,
And then
you're
you
going
get to
down the
just
mountain.
walk down the mountain and he gains like 15 levels.
Yes.
It's very satisfying.
The
Amazing.
other side to that, though, is if you are grinding for items, it can be a little frustrating because you will quickly, in an area, get to the point where everybody in your party gets like 2 XP for a battle. So it's frustrating to spend an hour grinding for an item and you didn't even get any extra levels out of that process. Yeah. You'd like to be a little powered after that, but
I mean, as an Earthbound fan, I'm still having trouble picturing that being a problem.
As the only Earthbound fan at the table.
Yeah. I mean, it is the Earthbound problem. It's like you are grinding for something you don't need. You just want it, and the game is like, well, how much do you want it? This is the sound of my hands rubbing together. And providing my own ASMR for this whole situation today. But yeah, I do like that the game's kind of like, well, how much do you want this? Let's test that.
This is one of those games where if you wanted to explore every nook and cranny of the game, you could spend a lifetime just digging deep. There is so much hidden content in here. I made 2 specific notes. These are by far not the only ones. I just want to give examples of the kind of hidden content that's in this game. The first is Clive's story.
Oh boy.
There is a character named Clive from the first game that you can recruit into your party. He has his own unique story that runs the full course of the game. And in order to encounter every part of his story, you have to get to certain locations in the game with him in your party before the timer of your game reaches certain points.
Yep.
Right? So, like, you have to be in town B before your timer hits 12 hours, for example. And that'll help guide you to, now I have to be in town C before it hits 16 hours.
Yeah.
He's Excalibur 2, but a character.
So true.
What happens when you complete a story? No idea. I didn't even get to the first time check. I missed it by
No,
like
I
10
didn't even
minutes.
try. I didn't even try.
So I would have to look it up on YouTube.
Yeah. I mean, at the time I played these, YouTube wasn't around, which is so weird to think about. But
how did we live?
I know.
Anyway.
You had to download stuff. Like
Crazy.
I have Let's Plays from some of my friends that I still have downloaded on a hard drive because that's the way you had to do it. Anyway, yeah, I was just gonna say, to the point of the hidden stuff, a lot of the since of course you're very motivated to get the 108 characters, I feel like it's a lot more esoteric than the first game in terms of giving you hints or even like just what to do in general. And I that was this example I was going to give with Stallion, which you can go on to if you want.
Sure, give us the Stallion thing before I do this other
Okay, so when you get to a certain town in the game, you'll see Stallion just walking around twice as fast as other NPCs, of course. And you'll talk to him and stuff, and he's like, I had to escape the army, and but fortunately I was fast on my feet, so I was able to get away. And that's all he says. It doesn't say join my party. And then later on when you ask him to join your party, he's like, I don't think so, or something like that. And you find out, like, I think one character in a whole different place like gives you the slightest bit of a hint that what you're supposed to do is run away from 50 battles.
So he challenges you to a race.
Yeah.
He says, I'll join you if you can beat me in a race, and you can't beat him, and there is no clue as to how to beat him.
Yeah, and it's literally that running from battles makes you run faster, because running makes you run faster. That's a real life fact.
You have to run from a certain number of battles to beat him in a race. And it's like 20 battles or 30 battles.
Yeah, I don't remember how many it is. It's a big number.
The game
but not
doesn't
a
tell
huge-
you. You have to figure it out.
Well, one person, like, I forget what the clue is, but somebody counts down for you or something somewhere. But yeah, it was like really crazy for me the first time through, being like, what do I do?
Speaking of really crazy, do you want to hear the other example? Not the other hidden content, just the other example I have of hidden content in this game?
Sure.
Because unless you guys have read deep into this game, I doubt either of you has ever heard of this.
Okay, try me.
At the beginning of the game, there is a moment where the 2 main characters realize they need to jump off a cliff to escape.
Mm-hmm.
if you say no to jumping off the cliff 3 times in a row, and the third time you say no, they actually switch the no from its location to a different location, so you can't just spam the button. But if you say no 3 times in a row, you get in a small random combat. And then the dialogue repeats again, and you can do no 3 more times. Again, the third time it moves, and do a second combat. After you decide to jump off the cliff, then you get an opening sequence in this sepia tone of their childhood and them growing up together.
Right.
If you do the cycle of no's and do 108 battles, that sequence will be in color.
That is funny.
Okay.
What the... Of all the... How? What? That would take
So you're saying...
hours. Literal hours that would take to accomplish, to see the exact same sequence, but in color.
So what you're saying is that the company that put out Tokimeki Memorial has, like, weird hidden requirements that require lots and lots of repetition?
I don't know what that is.
It's a punishing dating sim.
Okay.
It's I don't know. I don't usually say things like this, but I recommend watching the 6-hour video by Tim Rogers on it. It actually
Tim Rogers did a Tokimeki Memorial.
he did, and it's 6
How
hours.
fun, yeah.
But that's what I mean by you could spend a lifetime just poking in the nooks and crannies of this game, because who figured that out?
Yeah.
How on earth?
That's how Konami was back then, though. I mean, that to me, I'm just like, that's a Konami RPG right there for you, buddy.
And weirdly, you can still only save at ends. This is one of the harder things for me to get used to, especially playing... I'm playing this game on a portable device. I know the game wasn't developed for a portable device, but there's a mental disconnect. When I'm playing the game on a portable device, I expect to be able to save easily and often, as opposed to, no, you have to go to one of the designated save locations in the game in order to save the game. And you don't unlock any kind of fast travel until much later in the game to be able to do that.
Yeah. And that's not Stallion, by the way. We're talking actual fast travel.
Yes.
Not just fast walking.
not just quick travel.
Yeah.
Fast travel.
Hear that, kids? Games used to not be so easy.
Yeah, Suikoden II, the hardest game.
So hard. Such a hard game.
I always feel like, again, this is the Earthbound thing, is that having space between when you can save in the game does ramp up the drama when you have multiple fights in a row. And, like, certain things that can happen, you're just like, I do not want to repeat all of this.
Oh, sure. And
Ramps up that tension.
And I'm not even necessarily saying that it's a bad thing, especially in Earthbound. In the NES and the SNES era, you expect it. In the PlayStation era, I kind of expect it to be a little easier to save, except in dungeons. Like, I'm shocked when games let you just save wherever you want in a dungeon to this day. That's weird. Unless it's a portable game and it's a quick save option. But again, like I said, I was playing this on the Vita, which is a portable device, and it just feels very weird to be on a portable device going, oh, I need to save. Give me 10 minutes to get to the nearest town to save so I can turn off my device.
Unless it's the story, in which case, just next day.
I was playing Metaphor Re Fantasio. Finally started it the other day, and I did the whole first dungeon, beat the boss at the end of the first dungeon, and then they're like, oh no, this other more terrible enemy just woke up, and we need to go fight it. And I mean, it's like a Persona spinoff, so it's not the easiest game in the world necessarily. And my characters were really spent, and I thought, oh shit, now I have to fight this other boss. No, it just automatically healed me.
Nice.
Like, what a time to be alive.
Shooting
If
real...
this was from the NES era, then I would have just been screwed.
Yeah, the challenge in a lot of RPGs nowadays is a lot of, just kidding.
Yeah. It's like, how am I going to beat another boss? And then, oh, everybody's just healed.
Except I would say Dragon Quest. Yeah. They're still doing that, where it's like you'll be at the end of your rope, and they're like, oh, actually another boss fight. Here you go.
Yeah.
Shooting forward like 4 reviews, I just finished playing Mystic Arc.
Yes.
That delightful game, and we'll review it because we're talking about every game but Suikoden II here.
I love it.
But one of my gripes with that game is frequently you get to the end boss of a dungeon, you beat the boss, you're like, whew. wait, I have to walk all the way back out this dungeon through all the random encounters now? You son of a...
You don't have a little fairy like you do in Metaphor saying, do you want to go to the area immediately that will advance the story?
Or like, here, take this door that takes you to this hidden shortcut to the beginning of the dungeon.
Yeah.
Or let's just warp you out of the dungeon and not explain it. Nope.
Skyrim is
Walk
great.
your way back through.
Skyrim is the best at having donut dungeons.
Yeah.
Every dungeon is a donut. As soon as you beat the boss at the end, there's a door that takes you right back to the beginning.
Every time.
Organic. Not every time. There's one exception. And I hate it. But anyway.
Do we have anything else in innovations or other video games we want to talk about?
Let's talk about Mystic Arc.
It's coming.
I know.
Russ hasn't had a chance to play it yet.
No, I haven't played it yet. It's like, I do promise this is a great game.
No,
Suikoden 2
Yeah.
is a great game.
It is
I
a
think
fantastic game.
I think when we're talking about other games, it's a compliment.
Yeah,
Because we have not talked about one bad game yet.
it's true.
Well, we did mention Final Fantasy VIII. Anyway, let's move on to music.
And the podcast is over.
All right, music for Final Fantasy VIII was done by, my notes say, Nobuo Uematsu, well known for the Final Fantasy series. Also worked on Rad Racer and Rad Racer 2 and the Battle of 3D World Runner. Nobuo Uematsu was born in 1948 and went to school. And I actually don't know his birthday, but I'm going to be amazed if I got it right. Hang on. Real-time Googling. 1959. I'm sorry. I aged him up like 11
you really
years.
did, yeah. He's as old as Barbie.
Great, now we're going to get
Nice.
canceled.
By Nobuo. He's not going to listen anymore. It's okay. We will we'll review Blue Dragon and talk about how cool Ian Gillan is, and then Nobuo will like us again.
I've got to get an Xbox, don't I?
I have one, and I have Blue Dragon, so I'm good.
You can stream or somehow play all of those exclusive 360 RPGs on like the
Yeah.
whatever the like Lost Odyssey and like okay.
Yeah, you can on the modern systems. There's a list.
Okay.
I know Lost Odyssey's on the list because I've looked it up because I thought about getting one. Anyway, okay, so Suikoden 2, that's the one we're doing today, right?
Yes.
Let's talk about Lost Odyssey for a little bit.
I finally bought it and I haven't played it yet because I don't have my 360 hooked up to my main TV.
I have muted everybody. It is now the Jeff Show. We will eventually return to talk about Suikoden 2.
And that's the story of Lost Odyssey.
It was great.
Yeah.
I was on the edge of my seat.
I'll never remember all that either, so if anybody ever asks me again,
no.
just lightning can't strike twice. Unless it's Final Fantasy X.
Oh my god.
I just want to take a moment to tell the fans of the show we really appreciate you. We appreciate you. We know you have a lot of podcasts to choose from when it comes to spending your personal time, and when you choose to spend it with us, we appreciate that. Anyway, back to the music review for Suikoden 2.
And that's why Waka's the worst character in the whole series.
Views expressed by Chris Taylor on this review are not necessarily the views of Home on the RNG as a whole. And now back to the Suikoden 2 review.
Okay, anyway. So what are we talking about? Suikoden 2.
So who composed the music for Suikoden 2?
I love when I feel like the only adult in the room.
That's a good question.
Yeah.
I think the answer is Miki
Miki Huggins.
Yeah.
It was Miki Huggins.
Miki Huggins.
She also goes by Miki-chan.
Yeah, which, why would you when your name is Huggins?
God.
So Master Huggins is an old school Konami composer. She worked on games as far back as the mid-'80s, including like the NES TMNT game,
Oh, wow.
As horrible as that game is, the music's pretty good.
Nah, it's the first video game I own besides Super Mario Bros. It's an amazing game. I love it. As well as the Genesis version of Tournament Fighters, apparently. When I go to Konami's website, or went to Konami's website to try and click around on that, I couldn't really find much info on that. And
what is Tournament Fighter?
The Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Tournament Fighters.
It's their Street Fighter game.
Oh, I didn't know that existed.
We are not going to go super deep into this, but it is interesting because they released it for the SNES, the Sega Genesis, and the NES. But all three versions are completely different with different playable characters and different stories.
Oh, fun.
They are three unrelated games.
Interesting.
And as far as North American releases go on the NES, it is one of like 2 one-on-one fighters, and it came out in like 1994 or something. It's like a very late era, like a end of the life.
That's crazy. NES game. I was just like, I never heard of that.
TMNT Tournament Fighters. I find it utterly baffling.
See,
and
I'm looking for my mute button now.
I have all the mute buttons. It's just because it's normal for games to release on multiple platforms,
like the Aladdin game.
Yeah,
but yeah, for each platform to be a radically different game is weird.
Yeah, no, the Aladdin is a good point
because Nintendo wouldn't let Aladdin have a sword.
Well, yeah, and so and it was like Capcom kind of handled all the Disney games for Nintendo, but Sega, they wanted somebody different, so they got Virgin, etc. I played the Game Boy game like just yesterday.
We're reaching for the mute button. Suikoden II music is great. Can you tell us a little bit more about it, Chris?
Not really.
Fair.
Ultimately,
we couldn't get Miki Huggins on the podcast today,
Yeah.
So
can we get her real name just once?
Yeah, I said it. It was Miki Higashino.
Okay.
Higashino. Okay.
Or Miki-chan as what's written in the notes here.
Miss Huggins, if you're nasty.
Yeah. No, really, for real, look her up sometime. She did some amazing work for Konami throughout the years, up through almost 2010, I want to say.
I love that so many of the games that we review have like women composing the music.
Yes,
that
Konami is great about
that. That was a good job opportunity for women in a time when they weren't really respected, because they're all respected today, obviously.
Oh, yes, right. Women in the video game industry, highly respected.
But yeah, I just enjoy that.
Yeah. I actually started, because I put together brief notes of the composers just in case Chris can't make it, so I have something to talk about. I don't have Chris's background. And I started to note when I put together notes for the reviews we're doing today, female composer, except almost all of them were today. Yeah. So I was like, well, I guess I don't need to call that out. Yeah. Okay. All right. I just want to call extra attention to it like you did. Because good for them. Sisters are doing it for themselves.
That's true. They won't be allowed to read in the few months.
But Miki-chan didn't do this game all by herself, did she?
No, there's somebody else here that says Keiko Fukami, who I don't know. Apparently a Suikoden composer of some jazz background. I mean, Miki Higashino is known for being like the Suikoden person, essentially. So, I mean, yeah, there's probably some of the tracks are done by Keiko. I never have enough time to like go through VGMDB.com and like, they actually will do like a track by track sometimes, and then that's how you can find out like, oh, Mari Yamaguchi only did one song in Breath of Fire. But anyway, yeah. So the soundtrack of this, of course, it's sweeping and epic. You're gonna get very pounded in the ears by lots of marching band drums, like lots of marches, cadences, and such, and lots of high flutes. There's a ton of flutes in this game.
High flutes. Well,
like piccolos and whatnot, like the things you would associate with like army music, right?
Which is thematically on point. Yeah,
exactly. Like, and kind of like the last game, but I mean, really in 1999, I mean, we, again, Final Fantasy VIII is a good parallel to this, is that sweeping orchestral vocals in the songs and such, like that was starting to become more the norm. Whereas, something like Final Fantasy VII or, just 2 years prior, it was like more of a novelty. Like, you get to the end of the game and, oh, people are singing about Sephiroth. But now it's like Final Fantasy. Yeah. And now people are. Who are you muting?
Not you.
Okay. I was gonna say I'm in the middle of talking about the thing we're
No, you're doing great.
But yeah, like Final Fantasy VIII and like some other games of the time. I guess Chrono Cross would be another good one. It's
Chrono
like
Cross soundtrack is so good.
Oh yeah, but like we're getting into now like the real recordings, like real orchestras and stuff like that, it being in the video games, not just fancy midis, and like vocal themes right at the start, right there in the intro, which is of course what Suikoden has. It's got that one. I don't know what the type of singing is, but it's very nasally and it kind of sounds a little bit. The chords and modes sound a little bit Middle Eastern, and like that's something that they would ramp up quite a lot for Suikoden 3. So I could tell that this was a popular move in Suikoden 2 that wasn't really there in Suikoden 1. So we got a lot more interesting kind of world music vocals is what I guess you would call it now. Then of course there's like the songs that you hear all the time. So like the castle theme, the town themes, the battle themes, those are the ones that generally have like more of a melody. They're more memorable. You can certainly remember the battle theme because you'll hear it a lot, though not as often as Jeff would like. But then you get into like something like the wartime music or like dramatic storyline things, and suddenly everything's all about texture and just kind of really mood setting. There's a lot of mood setting music in this game. And then when it wants to get whimsical, it can totally do that too. It gets into your what is it, the children playing in the field song, which I actually found kind of annoying. It's like one of the town themes.
I found the children annoying.
You always do.
Yeah.
But just because it's so jaunty, it's just jauntiness levels little off the scale for me. Same thing when you walk in the overworld. It's just like suddenly it's Aaron Copland and like we're just admiring the expanse of like the entire world before you. It's just 9 feet of grass on any side of you. But we're just like it's just like the grandest of grand. Yeah, it's just grand adventure music and stuff. And so yeah, it's music that kind of goes over the top, but in like really good ways. Everything kind of an improvement over the first game, except, God, I miss that Lonely Mountain music. The Lonely Mountain theme is my favorite Suikoden song, and it's just the regular mountain music from the first game. But there's no equivalent in here of that. But you do get the epic Luca Blight musics when you're facing down against your terrible foe. That really kicks in some awesome epicness. So that's a highlight. And in fact, our friend Lauren did cover that song with the Returners.
Nice.
So that's tying it back to a person we were talking about earlier.
There we go. It all ties together.
Yeah. So there you go.
Well, let's go ahead and move into our final thoughts. So this is a game that you could drop hundreds of hours into if you wanted to, trying to find every little nook and cranny and secret. I'm giving the game an A-. It's a great game, but the inventory management system is still terrible, and those, I call them Fire Emblem style battles, but that's kind of insulting to Fire Emblem, which is fun and engaging. The new battle system for armies is just tedious at best. So it is going to be an A- because those two facts, those two detriments, do not detract overly from the fact that it is just an amazing game overall.
I think the game is great. It's very fun, despite me wanting to talk about like 8 other games during this review. I really enjoy it. I enjoy the snappiness. Probably my favorite thing about it is just the snappiness of the battle system, the leveling up feature that is so satisfying when you gain multiple levels at once. And I just enjoy that the story involves those moral shades of gray, and it's not just, oh, we have to save the world from some mustache twirling weird god or something. It's just different sides. It's just different sides of a war. And so I give it 4 squirrel warriors out of 5.
Nice.
when it came time to grind for something, what I would do is I would rotate out all the possible party members that I hadn't used and
Yeah.
basically level them all up to the same equivalent area.
Yeah, it's a good strat.
Yeah, it was fun. Chris?
Yeah, I mean, this game is. By the way, I love the 4 out of 5 squirrels since there's 5 squirrels in the game.
Yeah.
Very good.
I looked it up just now to remember exactly how many there were. I didn't
Yeah.
get all of them, but I love them.
Yeah, Suikoden II is really great. I especially love the story, and we didn't touch on it, and it is part of the story, kind of. But I also really love that there's a cooking show just in the middle of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Just kind of thrown in there. So shout outs to Hayo and all them. That was really fun, although apparently kind of buggy.
Yeah, we didn't mention all the mini games and stuff that are in the game as you build your castle. But
Yeah, but
there's a ton of them.
The cooking one is the best one for sure. And but yeah, you gather up like recipes and you like try combinations of like a type of food that you've collected in the game and a recipe that you've picked up, and then see what happens. And then you try to impress in a very Iron Chef way. You try to impress like your panel of judges, who are randomly selected from your party, and you're given hints about what they like. Those hints almost never correlate with what scores they'll actually give you. But you can make a thing called mayonnaise pie, which sounds amazing.
I had a mouthful of water for that, and I almost didn't have a mouthful of water very quickly.
As long as it's not Miracle Whip pie.
Yeah, I mean, might as well be, right? Anyways, so yeah, that's 10 out of 10 for Suikoden 2. It's a fantastic game.
All right, before we announce the next game, let's do a quick... I was going to say let's, but then you guys could say no, and I don't want you to say no. So we're going to do a quick round of just plugging anything that we think people might like. Because we talked about the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, why not? I'm actually a big fan of the Ninja Turtles. I've tried to watch all the incarnations and read all the comics.
How much do you like the movies with Stephen Amell in them? Or is it just one that he's in?
Only in the second Michael Bay one.
Okay.
They're
What
fine,
do you think
I
of their
guess.
faces?
Ugh. Listen, I just want to plug the IDW...
These are pressing questions.
the IDW run of comics for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I want to plug that because you can pick up the collection in like 15 big trade paperbacks now. It has a whole lot of storylines you haven't seen before in the Turtles, a lot of characters you haven't seen before, which is unusual. They go to places that will shock and surprise you, even as a long-term Turtle fan. The IDW collection of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is very good. It's very fun. They even introduce a fifth turtle eventually. Her name is Jenica.
I was going to say, is that the one with the girl turtle?
Yeah.
Okay.
She's actually a ninja who gets turned into a turtle. Like, she's an established character before she becomes a turtle. I'm still reading.
I remember her.
I'm still reading through the series. She's not a turtle yet for where I am, but it's very good.
I wonder how she feels about being turned into a turtle.
We'll have to ask her.
Yeah.
When we interview her for our Turtles
and
podcast.
the turtles are, because I wasn't a huge... So the turtles were turtles originally?
Yes.
Okay.
I think in all iterations.
In all iterations, except in the IDW run, pretty early on, it's revealed that they are actually the reincarnated souls of Hamato Yoshi. And Splinter is the reincarnated soul of Hamato Yoshi. I don't know what he did to get reincarnated as a rat who got mutated.
As a rat and 4 turtles.
And his 4 sons got reincarnated as turtles who got mutated and found each other.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a lot of mystic stuff. There's a cabal of immortal beings playing games with mankind that the turtles are going up against, which is what they've done with the Rat King this go around. I love the Rat King. He's always... They do such interesting things with him in all his forms.
That reminds me of the movie Godzilla, King Ghidorah, and Mothra, All Out Monsters Attack. Oh, what is it? No, that's not it. That's the...
Is that what you're plugging?
No, Godzilla GMK is what it's called. Let me find the actual title. Godzilla, Mothra, and King Ghidorah, Giant Monsters All Out Attack. Okay, I was very close. It's a one-off Godzilla film where on top of being a 300-foot tall nuclear lizard, Godzilla's also filled with ghosts from World War II. Vengeful ghosts. And so Godzilla embodies the vengeful spirit of people who are unjustly killed in World War II.
Yeah.
Sure.
This is never addressed in the movie. It's merely hinted at by a not important character. But that is the lore of that film, is that Godzilla is filled with ghosts.
Beautiful.
Just this once.
Chris, what would you like to plug? What should people check out?
Well, obviously, I am going to plug the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Cowabunga collection.
Excellent.
An excellent collection of not all, but the early and important Ninja Turtle video games that we 80s and 90s children grew up with. They're all there, including the Ninja Turtles Tournament Fighters on the NES.
All three editions.
All three of them, but that NES version is like a $700 cart. So, and yeah, you can play them all with a handy-dandy rewind feature and everything, so you can actually play them.
You can actually beat the first game, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I did it when I was a child, so...
shut up. Nobody,
like...
Nobody believes you.
It has the easiest last boss of, like, any video game.
Oh, yeah. No, that's true.
If Donatello survives.
Yeah, or if you have scrolls. If you have enough scrolls, those
scrolls are for getting to him, but yeah, the scrolls do help.
I wiped him out with the scrolls and nope.
Yeah.
And the ending of that game, Splinter turns human. It's somehow it's implied that Shredder's existence is why Splinter is a rat.
They didn't know in 1989 how long the series would last. They're like, let's just wrap it up.
And that game is just full of characters that have nothing to do with Teenage Mutant. Like, no. Konami just had a warehouse full of NPC or enemy sprites, and they were like, just throw them all in.
It was like, I swear they were working on a sequel to Getsu Fumiden at the time, and then, like, as soon as they got the license for Ninja Turtles, they're like, okay, make this guy green. The good character is Donatello. Yes. And that's it. Don't change anything else. Oh, put a Shredder in there. No, quick, put a Technodrome in there. Okay, now we're done.
Couple Mousers.
Yeah, one big one.
Yes.
Was Splinter a rat?
Splinter's a rat.
Yeah. But like before he
Yeah.
became a sentient rat. Okay.
So actually that one does change depending on the versions.
Yeah.
And
Because that would be
sometimes he's a
weird.
man who turned into a rat. Sometimes he's a rat who turned into a man.
Because it would be weird if you were a rat and then you were like an anthropomorphic humanoid rat and then you were just a person.
In
the original 80s cartoon, he was a man who was turned into a rat.
And in the first movie, he was a rat who turned into a man.
Most versions,
Man-rat.
he's a rat who turns into a man, except the 80s cartoon. There may be other ones, but I can't remember for certain.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining our Turtles podcast. Russ, what do you think people would enjoy?
I'm going to recommend Biker Mice from Mars because
Excellent.
I think there has been too much talk of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles during these recommendations.
That makes me hungry for Snickers.
Yeah.
The taste that really satisfies.
I really did like Biker Mice from Mars when I was a kid, and then I listened to a podcast about it recently, and it was weirdly homoerotic, which I did not get when I was a child. But having rewatched an episode as a 41-year-old man, yeah. So
Turned out to be formative.
Yeah, and then I also like that they're like friend. They're like the one female character who's their friend who fixes their motorcycles and things is named Charlie Davidson.
Nice.
And I think that's great.
So there you go. A very animal-centric. Oh, and Chris has loaded up the Biker Mice from Mars game.
Yeah, we'll talk about this. We'll talk about this right now.
Oh, God.
So
I'm kidding. Go ahead.
I'm going to ask you to not do that anymore. So the European release of Biker Mice from Mars on the Super Nintendo, which is a isometric racing game, because you have to have those, was brought to you in association with Snickers. So I've got the game loaded up on my little system here if you want to take a look. They put Snickers...
Oh, brought to you in association with Snickers. It literally says that.
There's literally Snickers, like, symbolism all in the game.
Nice.
They replaced all the victory screens with advertisements for Snickers. This is not in the U.S. version that we can play. It's only in the European version, and it's amazing. So that's my favorite thing about the Biker Mice from Mars.
Beautiful.
Yeah, I really love this. This is like how all like stadiums are now called like the Bluebell Ice Cream Convention Center.
Right. This episode has now surpassed an hour, as if we were talking about Final Fantasy VI.
Oh, I'm definitely playing as Vinny.
I literally saw one of my very favorite bands of all time, King Crimson, legendary progressive rock band, in like the HEB Center in Cedar Park. I'm like, King Crimson should not know what HEB is. This is ridiculous.
So, thank you everybody for listening. Join us next time as we talk about Persona 2 as Sequel Palooza continues with the most sequel to sequel ever.
And it's not Persona 2 like a ballerina would wear.
No, it's Persona 2.
There's not ballet involved.
Eternal Punishment, the second part of the Persona 2 duology, which is two games but one numbered entry.
Ballerina edition.
Ballerina edition. We'll see you guys next time.
On the RNG is a presentation of Mad Centaur Productions. You can find Jeff on YouTube at youtube.com/Centaur Productions or on Twitter at Jeff Centaur. You can find Russ on Twitter at RussMac25. You can find Chris on Twitch at twitch.tv/LiarExaggerate or on Twitter at EnrichFlavor. Thank you for listening, and remember to save your game before powering off this podcast.